Ready, Paul? Okay.
No, we've been on for the last 15 minutes.
This is the regular Woodbridge Board of Finance meeting for April 16th, 2015. And first item on the agenda is public comments, and surprisingly, with all the statements being made out there, I thought somebody might be here to address us. But so in that event, I'd like to make a couple of remarks. I've never, in all my years, and I've been on this board, I'm trying to remember exactly when I started, but it was sometime around 87, so that's 28 years. I've never ever felt that this board should be political in any way, and I never allowed that to happen. Politics should never enter into what we do. However, when material is being spread around the town, which I believe impugns what we do here, I feel I need to answer it, and I plan to do that right now. The first thing I'd like to bring up is this. I'm sure we all got this mailer from Cathy Wick and her friends. And the headline reads, Skeletar raids rainy day fund to balance budget. And they show from 2006 forward. And I'd like to just mention that Ellen Skeletar has been here for one approved budget. And that's the budget we're currently working under. The budget we're presenting next Monday to the town hasn't been approved yet. So how on earth can Ellen Skeletar be responsible for raiding the rainy day fund? If anything, it should read Giglietti and Genovese raid the rainy day fund, because Tony and I have been here the longest. Tony, been here 15 years, I think?
Approximately, yeah.
And first of all, the statement is patently incorrect. We're not raiding the rainy day fund. Part of good budgeting is using the monies you have to keep taxes under control. We carry forward, and Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, in your 15 years, have we ever not carried money forward from the general fund?
It's always been an item in our budget since I've been here.
Always. And before that, I can't remember how far back it goes, but as long as I can remember, and the reason we do it, sure, if we didn't do that, we could have a 25% fund balance, and how is that responsible? It's just not the way you do things. We bring that money forward, and so it's in our budget, and when we have a bad winter like we just had, we can pay for snow removal, we can keep our roads in repair, we can do all the things we're supposed to do. Keeping infrastructure up to speed is probably the most important thing we have to do. Of course, we have to educate and all that, but we need to be patently aware of the infrastructure. Now, she makes the statement that Orange and Bethany maintain 13% rainy day fund balances. And I'm giving this credit to Cathy Wick, because her name and picture are on this. Orange's schools are in utter disrepair. Last year they had to close Peck Place School because it literally exploded because of lack of maintenance. The roads in those towns aren't even close to ours. Bethany's school, which needs major work, it hasn't been done. We just approved $13 million for Beecher Road School. So we don't have our infrastructure fall apart as other towns do. As far as the rainy day movement of the rainy day fund, it's been approved every year unanimously by the boards of selectmen and board of finance. I can never remember one person bringing that up and saying that it's a bad idea. However, I can say that at numerous budget meetings, members of the Republican Party would get up, and Ellen wasn't even there when this happened, but they would get up and insist that we should carry forward $1 million from the rainy day fund, or the fund balance, so there would be no tax increase, to which I would respond, if you can't replicate that in the following year, you have $1 million tax increase in the following year. So that's irresponsible. I got a letter today from Cathy Wick, and she makes some other statements which are just not true. The current administration, that's Ellen. She's been here not quite 2 years. The current administration has drained our savings to cover operating deficits to the point where our AAA bond rating is at risk. That is so not true. Tony, is there any risk, with all the factors that are part of bond rating, is our rainy day fund so low that it's going to risk our rating? Well, in your opinion?
No.
Okay.
I would like to I just give a little background on that, because there seems to be a lot of confusion on this issue. So when we go to a rating agency presentation, essentially what we are evaluating is our credit, our municipal credit, our municipal financial health. And I've probably been to maybe 10 of those presentations. So I've been to quite a few of them. And there are many factors that impact a financial health of a town. Fund balance is one, but that's not the only one. For instance, just as an example, Greenwich's fund balance is below 8%, but they've been AAA forever because they have other factors that are very strong. There's financial position. I'm just going to list a few of them so that you just sort of get a flavor of the types of things that we look at. Operating results, budget results, increases in your budget, and have they passed? Capital infrastructure is a big one. Are you keeping up with your capital infrastructure needs? Because what you want to avoid is a fiscal cliff where all of a sudden you don't do anything for 10 years, like here, and within within the last 10 years or 15 years, we've done a library and a school and a public works facility and a firehouse. You want to try to avoid that. Tax collection rates, your ability to pay. Debt is very important, as we went over at a previous meeting. But that's in relationship to your capital infrastructure and what the debt is used for. Wealth levels, labor market information, grand list data. There's several factors that go into a credit. So to say that one thing is going to cause your credit to go down is not true. It's a very involved analysis that takes place. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that one item is not going to impact your credit significantly.
And by the way,
now, if you have an employer in town, drastic things can impact your credit. If you have an employer in town that employs half the town,
well, of course,
and they move out, well, then that would impact it. Or if you're, stuff like that, drastic things could impact it, but
that's
not incremental.
So to make the statement that our AAA rating is in jeopardy is patently, well, there's no basis in saying that, unless you're in somebody's ear on one of these rating agencies. And I'm not. This is nothing about politics. This is, to me, it talks about what we do here on the Board of Finance. We would never do anything to jeopardize this town. As far as where she says something here about we're at the end of our limit on debt. I don't know where she gets that from. She said that Tony said something about that in an article I read in the paper. I don't think Tony ever said that. We, the Board of Finance, the town, have always had detailed information about our bond. Tony presents that all the time. Here's proposed bonds, here's our current bonds. We always plan, when we retire debt, we add debt so it doesn't impact the town. We have never put the town in jeopardy of having too much debt. But in the same regard, we have to do things in this town. We've kept this town up on an infrastructure basis like nobody else around. Drive around the various towns and find a town in better shape than ours. So my point is, campaign, let's hear your ideas, but don't spread mistruths. This Skeletar Raids Rainy Day Fund, I'm offended by this, because how on earth are you going to blame Ellen for something that this has been going on through Republican administrations, through Democratic administrations, as long as I can remember. If we have excess funds in the fund balance, we bring them forward for good purposes. Honestly, the only time I can remember we went into fund balance specifically, I think Sandy, you were here for that, was when Beecher had a massive special education influx.
Yes.
And we had at a town meeting too.
We did
And by the way, all of these things, Andy, I'll get 1 second. All of these fund balance transfers are approved. They go to a town meeting. At the budget, at the town meeting when we approve the budget, it's there for, I've never heard anybody question why we're doing that, ever. Nobody has ever questioned it, and yet Skeletar Raids Rainy Day Fund. It's patently unfair, and it's just not the way we operate in Woodbridge as far as I'm concerned. Andy?
The Woodbridge Country Club raised rainy day fund.
Correct.
No one wants to really address the fact that we have a $7.5 million acquisition plus how many more millions of dollars that have been spent on that thing over the last 3 or 4 years, and where did that money come from? It was never budgeted. Our investment is what, $11 million, Tony?
Approximately, yes. Mm-hmm.
What impact has that had on her little lines going up and down?
Right. Absolutely.
But they don't want to address that because that's one of her pet projects. She wants to keep that as open space. We have a proposal. She want to reduce debt. We have a proposal that we can reduce our debt by $7.5 million. Pay off the Woodbridge Country Club and get some tax revenue in this town. That's what we need. Okay? It's very easy. And everybody skips around that. That's kind of a little thing. Oh yeah, well there was never an investment like that planned for the town. That money was never budgeted or planned, and it's been an albatross around our neck. And it's not going away. Every day we sit with it, the potential for getting worse exists.
And any suggestion, and that's the first article in her letter. She's adamantly opposed. I'll read the quote. Let's see. My position is firm. I oppose this Toll Brothers plan. I oppose any zoning change that would adversely impact the neighborhood, reduce property values, or damage our quality of life. Country Club neighbors have collected hundreds of signatures opposing this latest Toll Brothers scheme. Fine. The townspeople are going to have the final say in this. But
exactly right.
Please, Cathy Wick and your friends, what would you do differently? That's all I ask. I mean, you're criticizing us for what we've done. We bought this country club property. We had to buy this country club property. Anyone would like to debate that with me, I'll give them every reason in the world we had to buy it. But now that there's a chance to try and turn this thing around, if the townspeople decide they want to pay for it, then we assume all the risk. But in the meantime, I just think that the politics that are going on right now are wrong. I mean, and to mislead the public and make us look like we don't know what we're doing. I'm totally offended by that. And I just wanted to put that on the table because this doesn't go after Ellen Skalatar, in my opinion, because she's only done it once. I've done it 28 times. Some of us have done it 15 times. And has anybody ever heard anybody complain about the carry forward of fund balance? Anybody? I've never heard a word about it.
And I'm probably the newest member here, and I take offense. I mean, I am proud to serve with everyone here. I think that we all have and take our fiduciary responsibility as members of this board very seriously, and that we have been good, responsible stewards of this budget and every tax dollar that the residents pay. I think it's not only an insult to every member of this board and to Tony and Ellen, but every employee and department head who put together a fair, responsible budget and tried to live within that budget.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Well, again, I've sat at a lot of these meetings over the last 4 years. You know what?
Yeah,
I don't see anybody in those seats,
right.
and they're invited to come every meeting, and there's no public comments. So it's all, and where they have an ability, to get the facts. But you know what? Innuendo is a lot easier, okay? You don't have to back those up with facts. So they have an opportunity. There's nobody sitting here even tonight at any of our meetings.
The last meeting before the election, by the way.
So
I hope people don't construe this as being any kind of a political statement on my part. It's, as chairman of this board, I mean, and I got to tell you, this has been one of my I'm proudest years of doing this budget, to come in under 2% with all the things we're faced with, and building public works garages and everything, to come in under 2% and carry that country club with absolutely nobody trying to look at it intelligently on the other side as to how we can make that thing work. Oppose. Well, what is your plan for the country club? Please, somebody, you want to leave it as open space? Okay, then let's look at how much effect that's going to have on fund balance if we do nothing other than run it the way it currently sits. If that's what their plan is, they should make that public and let everybody know that we're just going to keep it as open space. We're going to keep running it as a golf course, and we'll never generate any revenue. Fine, then everybody can plan on tax increases to cover that every year. But to come in at 1.9, whatever it is now, with all that we've done this year, and with the Feature Road School project, the tremendous public works garage, and to have the type of services we have in this town and the condition of our infrastructure is a remarkable accomplishment. And I'm extremely proud of this board and the board of Selectmen too for seeing this, and to just constantly attack what we do, and it bothers me because to me it's a slap at us, and I just won't let that happen. So, if there's anything else? Yes,
yeah, I'd like to correct another misstatement, slap at us, and that is the allegation. Well, it's actually a truthful statement. but it's misused. That is the statement that Woodbridge has the highest per capita tax rate in New Haven County. Well, that includes the income tax.
Oh, okay.
Woodbridge is the wealthiest town in New Haven County. We have the highest per capita income, so we have the highest per capita income tax. And this board doesn't set the income tax. The folks up in Hartford set the income tax. So to the extent that people think, well, this board is recommending a tax level that is the highest in New Haven County, that's simply false.
It is. And one last thing I forgot, which I wanted to bring up, was I am offended that Cathy Wick in this letter even mentions Tony Genovese in anything other than a positive light. She talks about he receives a well-deserved award, but that award is for budget presentation, the style in which he presents the information, and it is not, capital letters, for the policies that underlie the budget itself. I mean, don't even bring that up. He wins the award. Don't even bring it up that it's anything less than an honor for him to receive this year after year after year. To bring that up and impugn Tony in any way, I've known Tony since he came here. He's my friend, aside from being the best finance director I've worked with, so don't even bring that up. Okay.
There are people all over the state that agree that Tony is the finance director, and we get kudos from that. I mean, I go all around and they know
And
Tony,
if
so
Cathy
it's
would like
not
to
just
debate,
because you
and
look.
if Cathy would like to debate the budget at any point in time, I'd be happy. One-on-one to debate with her about this budget. She wants to come and challenge me, Tony, anybody. If she thinks she knows more about this budget than I do, I'll be happy to debate that with her one-on-one. Anytime, anywhere, television, radio, I don't care where we do it. Okay, so now I'm getting angry, so I better stop. Tony, administrative report.
Okay. So the report we have here is through March, and at the time of the report, the surplus for the year was about $300,000. And just to explain that in light of our discussion, the budget had planned for a $400,000 use of fund balance. In this case, there's a $300,000 surplus, which means that it would be $100,000 taken from fund balance. Now, since I've been reviewing the documents for the budget presentation, it's actually gone down to about $75,000. We've been watching some of our revenues and expenditures, and when I do this, I try to be conservative. So, as you've probably discovered over the years. That being said, we still have 3 months to go of the year, 2.5 months. We still have some revenues to collect, and so we'll see. And hopefully, we can get closer to zero and have no use of fund balance this year. But department charges at the moment have a surplus of about $40,000 to $50,000, and that's mostly in golf fees, zoning permits, and transfer station fees. Some of our deficits in that department include building permits and conveyance taxes. So I'm not sure how those will perform over the next 3 months, but that's where we are currently. The Board of Selectmen has a surplus of about $23,000 for legal fees, mostly it's for legal fees, and that we've spent less than we had budgeted this year. Police Department is projecting a shortfall in wages, but there's a shortage of personnel, and therefore we have money in salary lines to cover that. So that department could generate a $30,000 to $40,000 surplus between those two items. Waste management, there's a surplus of about $45,000, and the library should have a surplus of about $40,000, mainly due to the vacant director position, and then some other vacancies that they had to fill. So on the other side, employee benefits. The surplus of about $60,000 to $65,000. Most of that is in health care for retirees and the police retirement. And the police retirement, we actually paid off our amortization payment for the police plan, which is basically when we started MRF up at the state, we had the option of paying at once to vest everybody or pay over time. And the town decided to pay over time, and that payment is now finished. So that's a good part of the reason why we have a surplus there. And finally, the Woodbridge Board of Education is reporting a surplus at the moment of about $50,000 that they plan on having for returning to the town at the end of the year.
So we're in good shape.
Yes.
So
And that's considering we've spent in excess of $100,000, close to $150,000 for snow removal costs. If we didn't have the winter, if we had just the winter like we had budgeted and planned for, we would be returning money to this fund balance.
And as Karen said, I mean, we do have great departments, and they work with Tony and keep them apprised of anything that's going on, so things are going well, as usual. Any other questions for Tony? Woodbridge Board of Ed financial report, you mentioned that they're projecting a $50,000 surplus, which we should get back at some point. And I guess we'll need approval to decide to do something with it. You know, put it in fund balance or whatever. We should have a town meeting or something. Okay, funding requests. The first one is a line item transfer within the Fire Commission. Transfer is requested due to computer issues requiring additional IT visits and to fund natural gas for the remainder of the year. So this is all within the...
It's within their budget,
It's
correct?
from oil heating, which obviously they don't have oil anymore.
Right,
So I'll
right.
move acceptance of line item transfer 1415-18 in the amount of $12,500.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, another line item transfer within the Fire Commission to cover overages in the building maintenance budget line due to needed repairs. There's a memo from the chief covering this. I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 1415-19 in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Next is line item transfer 1415-20 in the amount of $2,904.86. Something about meal allowances, Tony?
Yep, so we have
All the
to-
snow events,
Right. 21 snow events since January, between January and March.
My God.
Sort of brings it in perspective.
At least we're not Boston.
That's right.
True.
That's the least we can do to feed them, because they do a phenomenal job. So I'll move acceptance. Did I already do that? Did I move acceptance? No? I'll move
No.
acceptance of line item transfer 1415-20 in the amount of $2,904.86.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. And next is a... Oh.
It's Cathy Wick.
She wants to have a budget discussion.
One old meeting.
Line item transfer 1415-21 in the amount of $7394.35 within the Public Works Department. To cover unforeseen expenditures in a garage maintenance budget. And there's a memo here from Cindy going through this. So I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 1415-21 in the amount of $7,394.35. Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. And finally, another line item transfer within Public Works, 1415-22, in the amount of $7,600, and it's expenditures with the plow trucks. I can't imagine why, but I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 1415-22 in the amount of $7,600.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Fix those bumps and bruises.
Yeah, they work, they perform yeoman
did.
service.
They did.
All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Approval of minutes. Getting there. We have the minutes of our regular Board of Finance meeting from March 19th, and I will move acceptance of the monthly minutes of March 19th, 2015 as presented.
Move.
Any discussion, correction, adjustments? No? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay. And that brings us to Ellen Scalatar's report.
Thank you, Matt. It's been another busy month, so much going on in the town. One thing is we've been planning the grand opening of the Public Works Garage. I hope everybody has marked their calendars for April 30th at 1 p.m. And that is 2 years to the day since the groundbreaking. So it's very timely, and we're looking forward to that. There'll be tours of the building, and I think it'll be a very nice event, and dedicating the building to Ed Sheehy. With respect to economic development and business promotion and visits, it was a busy month. I visited CrossFit, which is a new gym, and the owners chose Woodbridge because they see it as an up-and-coming community, which was very nice. There's also a relatively new business called Auth Air. They do security software. It's very high-tech, very interesting work there. And the owner grew up in Woodbridge, and he said he had always wanted to have a business here, which is great.
Great.
It's just wonderful. I will say, Betsy Yagla, who's on vacation this week, wrote up a little article after we visited, and they called her and said she did such a good job, they wanted her to go and work for them. But luckily we kept her. But they're wonderful, just terrific young people, smart and really cutting edge kind of work. You probably know the True Value Hardware store has expanded, and they're planning a grand opening in June. Our United States Senator Chris Murphy was here in Woodbridge. He does visits to manufacturers around the state to highlight manufacturing in the state of Connecticut. So he came to Woodbridge, and we visited three manufacturing businesses, three very different ones. One was Modern Trousseau. We have a place here in Woodbridge that is one of the few remaining American-made bridal gown manufacturers in the country. It's not a retail shop, but people go to shops in their communities, and many brides-to-be come to Woodbridge for their fittings. They come from all over the country, and and they do beautiful, beautiful work. And as they said, then they send people to Katz's in the diner, so we have more business activity when they come for the fittings. I don't think the brides eat, but the family does. The Economic Development Commission hosted a very well-attended breakfast. I want to thank again the chair, Jody Oland, and Betsy Yagla for putting it together. It was terrific, and we had presentations by two experts in digital business promotion, and they do this through social media. They're both here in Woodbridge. One does very extensive Facebook kind of promotion, and the other does videos. And they did a little video for the town about our business district, which is on the website. It's really wonderful. And I said to it, it's so high tech. I said, this is so like hipster. He said, if you use the word hipster, you're not. So that was but the videos are very, very good. And it was a terrific networking event just for the businesses who were there. They were exchanging business cards and really helping to get a more vibrant business community, which I think is something very important for our budget and our taxes and promoting our town in a positive light. I was at two events at Amity High School. One was the production of Tarzan. I don't know who else saw it, but they are like professionals. These productions, they had people flying, and the talent of the kids is just overwhelming. They're fantastic. I so recommend the show next year if you have a chance to go. And they also had a charity event. They're called Charity Champions, and they took up a national anti-substance abuse initiative. The students worked to raise money. They worked with different teachers, and then the teachers had a little basketball competition, and the students who raised the most money could pick the teacher they wanted to participate, and if they raised additional money, they could encumber the teacher with something like funny shoes or a little hat, and it was very, very well attended, enthusiastic. It was terrific. Actually, this morning I was at Amity High School. They had a career day. It was the first time they've done it. It needs a little polishing, but there were, I'd say, about 25 people there to talk about careers. It's for sophomores and introduce them to the idea of thinking about the future, so that was very nice. In terms of schools and theater productions, Beecher Road School did The Wizard of Oz, and that was terrific also. A lot of talent and dedicated teachers and staff who who I know work nights and weekends putting together the sets. That was true in the high school as well, so that was terrific. Last Sunday, I was at the Eagle Scout Court of Honor, and there were 4 young men who did such wonderful projects for the town, and they spoke so well. It was really another tribute to the town, to the volunteerism of the town, and the great families and kids that we have here. And today was the Human Services Volunteer Tea. I didn't get this little flower just for the Board of Finance meeting. The Volunteer Tea is, again, it's a really lovely event in the town. They recognize so many people who contribute so many hours of volunteer time. And I think all of the people who were recognized appreciated it very much. I do the First Selectman's Youth Award. I gave that to Abby Kai-Keevel, whose resume of volunteer activity is just overwhelming. She's a junior in high school, and she's done so much. So that was another great event. And that's, a couple of other things. I served lunch at the Senior Center for St. Patrick's Day. A few of us were there. And I attended the monthly meeting of Massaro Farm.
Okay,
Thank you.
busy month.
Yes.
Thank you. Liaison reports. Amity met Monday, and of course, I couldn't make it. Of course, that's the one meeting I never seem to make, is the April meeting, so, but I will check to see what, I didn't, any of the scuttlebutt going on the emails, I didn't read anything that seemed, I guess they had their budget hearing, and it was, nobody came, so I guess things were okay. But I'll be there the next time. Karen, anything?
Yeah, EMS didn't meet, but Human Services, they met on April 6th. The volunteer tea, I attended today too. It was so well attended, and it was a lovely program to recognize the volunteers and honor so many that make our community such a special place to live in. The Senior Center, they've been running Tai Chi, computer classes, and cooking for men, which the men's cooking program has been very well attended. A foreign class is scheduled for May 8th through the 26th. And this I just found interesting. The Institute for Learning and Retirement, they're holding a course, Economics of Japan, and that'll be held on June 15th. Youth Services, they're putting together a code of conduct for the protection of children, and a draft code is being written, and that'll be presented to the Board of Selectmen for final approval. And the youth program continues to offer a variety of after-school and evening programs for the youth that are quite diversified and well-attended.
Sir?
Another cancellation.
Okay. David?
Conflict.
Sandy?
Okay.
We always can count on Sandy.
I attended the Woodbridge Library Commission on Monday, the 13th, and I was very pleased to meet our new library director, Eric Worthman. I think he's going to do a terrific job. He has a great wealth of experience, and he's very happy to return to Connecticut, and I think has some really good ideas programmatically about going forward, and is also very appreciative of Lynn and the rest of the staff for keeping the library going at the appropriate level in the absence of having a permanent director. And I think there is going to be a formal welcome for him. I saw on the website today for Eric. I don't recall the actual date though, so for the public to come in and meet him. We had a report from the Friends of the Library, and there are still 3 people remaining on the board, and they've decided they're going to take a different direction at this point. They are going to close the bookstore on May 1st. They have difficulty staffing it, and what they are going to do is actually have an annual book sale in the community room on the weekend of June 4th, 5th, and 6th. And they're going to use some volunteers from the high school to help them with that. And that should generate some funds, but also enable them to turn over their supply of books that they have. They will donate probably some of the remaining books, and it will be open at the very end to booksellers to come in. If this is successful, they will do it again in November. And there will be communication about their willingness to accept books from the community. And again, there's no textbooks, there's no old travel books, but in terms of reading books, they really accept all different kinds. So I really applaud them for coming up with a new idea, and they're hoping to work with Eric in terms of ways to kind of re-energize the concept of the Friends. They want to install emergency buttons, kind of panic buttons, in 2 different places in the library. They have 2 bids, and I think they wanted to talk to you, Tony, about the potential monitoring fee.
Right, I actually have talked to them about that.
Okay.
Because we have panic buttons in other areas of town.
Right.
So we're working on a way to do it. That's to try to eliminate the monitoring fee.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
great, okay. And they did hire a part-time business office person, Roseanne Capiello. They're very happy to kind of have her on board. She has many years of experience and knows how to use Munis.
She does. She's from North Haven.
Yeah, which is great. She is Sergeant Capiello's wife, so I didn't know that. We also talked a little bit about the issue of the governor's budget cuts for the libraries, and I know that Lyon and a number of the other libraries are going to be vocal about their opposition to the budget cuts and what impact it will have. It's interlibrary loan. It's a lot of the services that libraries depend on the state funds for. So they want to make sure that it's public and their concerns are voiced. Finally, with the C-car that does our deliveries of interlibrary loan, there's finally a new driver and a new van. And so they think that the problem will finally be fixed because there were, enormous delays. Okay. I also attended the Woodbridge Board of Education Finance Committee that same evening. And their budget now incorporates the $50,000 for computers that we asked them to fund from their capital budget. And it sounds like they've agreed to fund some other items. I believe that Dr. Stella was going to meet with you and Tony to kind of discuss the surplus. And so if they're at $50,000 at this point, that's reduced from what they reported at the end of March. So, and I think it's important for people to understand that the surplus that they have experienced even over the last few years has to do with when they have to turn in their budget. The fact that we don't have negotiated insurance rates at that point, both for medical insurance as well as other insurance coverage. With the turnover in terms of the building project, they saved over $70,000 in terms of electric, water, and heating this year because of that. Now again, they couldn't really budget that until the project was completed. So I think it does not have anything to do with not being able to accurately estimate what they're going to spend, especially for personnel, which is the largest part of their budget, but really other occurrences that take place. Another area of savings was the fact that no one signed up for wintergreen, to go to wintergreen. So there is tuition savings and bus savings. They have to budget for that because if there are students that want to go, there has to be money there. There are 2 vacant positions. An assistant principal, Nancy White, is retiring after many, many years of service to Beecher Road School, and the special education director position is also open, so they are looking to fill both of those. There really is some anticipation of an increase in special education costs for next year, so that's something that we need to kind of keep in the back of our minds in terms of how we might be able to take care of that. And I would just like to say that I think that the financial stewardship of this town is in the best hands of any other surrounding town in this area. And I have served on the Board of Selectmen for 6 years. I've been on the Board of Finance for 6 years. And I've been in finance and administration for the last 25 years in terms of my own career. And I think that this board and the Board of Selectmen reaches the highest standards that I've seen in terms of how it looks at issues, how it plans for the town, the fact that large expenditures have to go back to the town to approve. So nothing is done under the table at all. It's all out in the open. And I think we are very open in our Board of Finance meetings about what the issues are, what our opinions are, and how we decide to move forward. And I found it extremely insulting to receive information that really tries to undermine the credibility of how this town is run from a fiscal management perspective.
Thank you. I couldn't agree with you more. Is there anything else? Okay, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second, okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We'll see you, let's see, we're going to get together on the, is it 27th?
7th.
Yeah.
Please be there.
Oh, we'll be there.